The cry in the dust. The sky was dark and heavy with smoke. Ash floated through the air like dead snow. The ruins of an alien village stretched as far as the eye could see. Broken towers, burnt trees, and shattered machines filled the land. The silence was deep, almost too deep. Ray, a human soldier, walked slowly through the wreckage. His boots crunched over glass and bone. He held his rifle close, eyes sharp, always watching. He had seen war, but this place felt different. It wasn't just destroyed, it felt wrong. "Anyone alive?" he called out, but his voice echoed back empty. No answer, no sound, nothing. Suddenly, he heard something, very faint, like a whisper. It wasn't a voice, not at first. It was a soft sob, like a child trying not to cry. Ray froze. He turned his head slowly, trying to locate the sound. There, near the fallen tower, behind the rubble. He stepped forward, slowly, carefully. Another soft sob came, this time clearer. Definitely a child. He raised his weapon and moved closer. As he reached the corner, he saw it. A small alien child, no taller than his waist. Its skin was pale blue, eyes large and glowing with fear. Its arms were wrapped around its legs, shaking. The child looked up and gasped, trying to hide behind the broken wall. Ray lowered his gun slightly. "It's okay," he said in a calm voice. "I won't hurt you." The child stared at him, eyes wide. Then, in broken English, it spoke. "Please, human, save my mother." They locked her in a cage. Ray blinked. "What?" he whispered, stepping closer. The child nodded quickly, tears running down its cheeks. "She's still alive. Please help." He looked around, scanning the ruins. There were no signs of movement, but something felt off. "Who locked her up?" he asked. The child looked down, voice shaking. "Your people, but not like you, bad ones. They hurt her." Ray stepped back and looked at the sky. He had heard rumors, whispers about secret labs, about human units taking prisoners. But Command had said it was enemy propaganda. Now this child stood here, in front of him, crying, begging. He could walk away. He could report it, call it in, wait for orders. But something in the child's eyes stopped him. A kind of pain no child should carry. "Where is she?" he asked, finally. The child stood up slowly, holding a small glowing stone in its hand. "This way, come," before they return. Ray nodded and followed. The child moved quickly through narrow alleys of rubble. Ray kept scanning the area, but it was dead quiet. Too quiet. As they moved deeper into the ruins, he saw signs. Broken chains, burned symbols, crates marked with Earth military logos. Ray's heart began to race. Maybe this wasn't just war. Maybe it was something darker. Finally, they reached a metal hatch hidden under debris. The child pointed. "She's inside. Cage is there. They took her power." Ray opened the hatch slowly, gun ready. A cold air rose from the dark hole below. Metal stairs led down into a tunnel. He went in first, the child close behind. The light from the child's stone lit the narrow path. At the end of the tunnel, there was a large metal door. Ray pushed it open, slowly. Inside, the room was cold and empty, except for one thing. A cage, thick bars, glowing lock. Inside, a weak alien woman sat, her back to them. "Mother!" The child cried, running forward. The woman turned her head slowly. Her face was tired, bruised, but her eyes lit up. "My child, you're alive." Ray stepped forward, trying to figure out the lock. Suddenly, a loud metallic growl echoed from behind them. Ray spun around, gun raised. From the shadows, something moved. A machine, crawling on 4 legs, red lights blinking. A guard drone, still active, still dangerous. Ray cursed under his breath. "We've got company," he said, aiming at the drone. The child screamed, grabbing his arm. "Don't let them take her again." The drone charged, metal claws scraping the walls. Ray pulled the trigger, and the room filled with fire and smoke. The cage. Smoke filled the underground chamber. Sparks flew from the broken drone's shell. Ray stood in the center, breathing hard, gun still warm in his hands. The child clung to his side, shaking. The alien mother lay in the cage, coughing weakly, her body trembling from exhaustion. "Is it gone?" the child asked, voice small. Ray nodded, but he didn't lower his weapon. More could be coming. He looked at the cage. Thick steel bars, fused with some kind of alien tech. The lock was glowing red, hot to the touch. Ray knelt beside it, examining the structure. "This wasn't made by us," he muttered. The symbols were human, yes, military serial numbers, Earth tech stamps, but modified, corrupted. It was like someone had taken human tools and twisted them for something else. Can you open it? The child asked, eyes wide with hope. Ray didn't answer. He reached into his pack, pulling out a plasma torch. I can try. As he cut through the bars, sparks danced across the floor. The mother looked at him, her eyes tired but calm. You're not like the others, she said. Ray glanced at her, surprised. I've seen what your people do, she continued, voice rough. But you paused. He didn't know what to say. Was she right? He had paused. When he first saw the child, he had almost walked away. But something made him stop. A loud click echoed. The cage lock snapped open. The child rushed in, hugging the mother tightly. Tears fell from both their eyes. Ray stood back, watching, unsure of his place in the moment. Then he heard it, a deep humming from the tunnel behind them. Footsteps, not human, not heavy enough, but fast. They're coming, he said, raising his gun again. We need to move. He helped the mother to her feet. She could barely walk. Ray slung her arm over his shoulder, guiding her out. The child led the way, holding the glowing stone again. They returned to the surface, the sky darker than before. But something was different now. Ray noticed burned trees arranged in a pattern. He hadn't seen it earlier. Circles carved into the ground, symbols glowing faintly. Alien, ancient, powerful. What is this? He asked. The mother looked up, her voice quiet. They used this land to test things, dangerous things. Her eyes locked onto a broken tower nearby. That's where they took us first. Ray turned to the child. Do you know a safe way out? The child hesitated. There's a tunnel, but it's far, and they watch it. A distant sound rose, low and strange, almost like metal breathing. Ray didn't like the sound of it. Then we move now, he said, before it finds us. As they walked through the ruins, Ray noticed more signs. Not just of war, but of experimentation. Wires tangled around alien bones, human containers filled with blue fluid, screens showing heartbeat graphs, not human ones. His stomach turned. What were they doing here? He whispered. The mother looked away. They wanted to use our energy, our minds, even our memories. Ray stopped walking. Memories? Yes, she said. Your scientists discovered something. In our DNA, a way to copy memory, even transfer it. Ray's mind raced. This wasn't just war. It was theft of knowledge, of life, of identity. They reached a broken wall, where the child pointed to a small gap. This leads to the waste tunnels. We can hide there. Ray helped the mother crawl through, then followed. Inside, it was cold and narrow. The walls dripped with moisture, and the smell was sharp. But it was quiet, safe, for now. As they rested, Ray finally asked, "Why did you trust me?" The child looked at him. "You didn't shoot." The answer hit him harder than a bullet. In this war, mercy had become rare. Too rare. They sat in silence. The child placed the glowing stone between them, and it pulsed with a soft blue light. Ray stared at it. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked alive. What is that thing? The child smiled a little. It's not a thing. It's her memory, a part of her I carry. Ray blinked. You carry her memory? The mother nodded. Not just mine, many of us do. It's how we remember who we are. Ray didn't understand it fully. But deep down, he knew one thing. This war wasn't just about land or power. It was about identity, about soul. And humanity had crossed a line. A loud clang echoed through the tunnel behind them. Ray jumped to his feet. The child grabbed the stone. The mother stood slowly, pain in her eyes. Ray raised his weapon. We keep moving, he said. We're not safe yet. The darkness around them seemed to breathe, and something unseen watched them from deep in the shadows. No one left but us. The tunnel opened into light, but not daylight. Flickering lamps hung from broken beams. Crates, wires, and makeshift walls filled the space. It was not alien, and it was not military. It was human. Ray raised his weapon as three figures stepped into view. Dirty, tired faces, wearing old Earth uniforms. Guns lowered, eyes wary. Easy, one of them said, an older man with a gray beard. You're human, he added, looking Ray up and down. Didn't think any of us were still out there. Ray didn't reply right away. The child stood behind him, gripping the mother's hand. Ray stepped forward, slow but firm. We need shelter, just for a while. The man nodded. You've got it. But who's with you? He asked, staring at the aliens. Ray didn't explain. He just said, "They're not the enemy." The man didn't argue. He waved them in, and they entered the underground base. The space was quiet, too quiet. Old screens blinked with static, radios gave off soft crackles. There were maybe 5 other people, all human, all broken in different ways. A woman brought water, another offered food. Ray thanked them and helped the alien mother sit near a heater. The child sat close, watching everyone carefully. Ray sat down with the gray-bearded man. He learned his name was Miller, once a tech officer. Now just surviving, like everyone else. Miller looked at Ray's face for a long time, then asked, "You saw what they were doing up there, didn't you?" Ray nodded. Miller leaned in, lowering his voice. "They were taking prisoners, civilians, not just aliens either." He paused, eyes dark. "They used to bring humans in too. Traitors, scientists who asked questions." Ray felt a chill run through him. So it wasn't just enemy propaganda. Miller shook his head. "No, son, we stopped being the good guys a long time ago." Meanwhile, the child sat with one of the women. She offered him a small piece of fruit. He smiled a little, then looked over at Ray. "You trust them?" he asked quietly. Ray hesitated. "Not yet." Hours passed, and the group rested. The mother was asleep now, her breathing slow but steady. The base felt safe, but the silence was heavy, like something unsaid. That night, Ray couldn't sleep. He walked through the base, looking at the old tech, the maps on the walls. Then he heard voices, whispers from a back room. He stepped closer and listened. Miller and 2 others were speaking. "Aliens still alive?" "Yeah, and worth a lot, if we trade her. Even just her blood. You know what they can do with that stuff?" "Ray won't go for it." "Then we'll handle Ray too." Ray stepped back, his heart pounding. His mind raced. Betrayal. Again, this time from his own kind. They weren't survivors. They were scavengers, selling life to stay alive. He moved fast, back to the sleeping area. He woke the child, then the mother. "We have to go," he whispered. "Now." The child's eyes widened. "They lied." Ray nodded. "They're going to sell your mother, maybe worse." The mother tried to stand, but stumbled. Ray caught her and helped her walk. They moved through the dark tunnels, using the child's stone for light. Behind them, footsteps. Shouts. They'd been discovered. Ray turned and fired once, hitting a light, throwing the passage into shadow. They ran, turning corners, climbing over pipes and crates. The exit was ahead, a broken door half buried in rock. Ray pushed it open, light pouring through the cracks. Outside, the world was cold again, but free. They ran into the open, gasping. Behind them, Miller shouted, "You're throwing away your last chance, Ray." Ray didn't look back. He just said, "You already did." They ran until they couldn't hear voices anymore. Until the stars came out. Until the silence felt clean again. They rested under the remains of a broken satellite dish. Ray looked up at the sky, thinking of the war, the lies, the things humans had done. The child sat beside him and whispered, "There's no one left but us now." Ray nodded, and for the first time, he believed it. Enemy inside. Rain fell gently across the ruins. Tiny silver drops tapping on metal, ash, and stone. Ray, the alien child, and the mother moved through the mist like ghosts. Their clothes were soaked, their bodies cold, but no one complained. They had escaped the humans who tried to sell them. But escape wasn't safety. Not yet. The mother was weak, barely able to walk. Her skin had lost its glow. The child held her hand tightly, whispering to her in a soft alien language. Ray led the way, gun ready, heart heavy, mind racing. They needed shelter, food, rest. But more than that, they needed answers. Who started this war? Why were aliens hunted like animals? And why did the child carry tech that could remember memories? Ray spotted a crashed transport ship near the ridge. Its wings were broken, half buried in dirt, but the cargo bay was open. He motioned silently, and they slipped inside. The inside was dark and quiet. Old supply crates, power cells, emergency gear, all dusty but untouched. Ray used a light rod to scan the room. "Clear," he said. They made a small corner safe with blankets and rations. The mother laid down, her breathing shallow. The child knelt beside her, placing the glowing memory stone near her chest. It pulsed slowly, like a second heartbeat. Ray sat against the wall, wiping rain from his face. Then he noticed something strange. On the wall of the cargo bay, a drawing. scratched into the metal, faded but clear. It was a symbol, the same alien symbol he'd seen near the cage. But this wasn't an alien ship. It was human-made. He stood up and walked closer. Beneath the symbol, a word was scratched in English. Project Mindseed. Ray turned to the child. "Do you know what this means?" he asked. The child looked down, then slowly nodded. "What is it?" Ray asked again, this time more firm. The child's voice trembled. "They took me there, before the war got bad." Ray froze. "Wait, you were in this ship?" "Yes," the child whispered. "They said I was special, that I could hold memory. They tested me." The mother opened her eyes slowly. "She doesn't remember everything," she said. "They took parts of her, erased pieces, replaced others." Ray stepped back, the truth sinking in. "You're not just carrying her memory. You're carrying someone else's too." The child nodded slowly. "Some memories. I don't know if they're mine." Ray's breath caught in his throat. He wasn't just protecting a child. He was protecting a living memory vault. Then came the sound, a soft electronic click. Ray turned sharply, gun raised. A metal panel near the back of the cargo bay opened with a hiss. A figure stepped out, tall, in dark armor, glowing lines across the chest. Not human, not alien, something in between. A voice came from its helmet, smooth and cold. "Subject 12 located," it said. "Memory package intact." The child screamed, grabbing the memory stone. The mother tried to stand, but collapsed. Ray opened fire, sparks flying as bullets hit the armor. But the figure didn't stop. "You're interfering with classified recovery," it said. It raised a weapon, not a gun, but a pulse tool aimed at the child. Ray dove forward, grabbing the child and rolling behind a crate. The weapon fired. A flash of blue light burned the wall. Ray looked at the child. "What do they want from you?" The child cried. "They want to download me. All of me. Even if I die." Ray gritted his teeth. Not on his watch. He threw a flash charge and rushed the figure, blasting it with full fire. The armor cracked, wires sparking. The figure stumbled, then collapsed, smoke rising from its chest. Ray turned to the child. "We need to get her out, now." The child nodded, tears in her eyes. But the mother was fading. Her body flickered, not just in pain, but like her energy was leaving. The memory stone pulsed fast, then slower, then fast again. The child looked at it, confused. "She's trying to give me something," she whispered. "A message." Ray helped her hold the stone. The light inside began to swirl, images forming. An alien city, peaceful and bright. Then fire, screams, machines, cages. And one final image, a satellite tower standing tall in the desert. A pulse beacon at the top. The mother's voice, faint and fading, spoke inside the child's mind. "Send the truth." The stone dimmed. The mother's hand fell. And she was gone. The child let out a sound. Not a cry, not a scream. Something deeper, older. A sound of broken memory. Ray knelt beside her. He didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. Only one thing left to do. Send the truth. The signal. The rain had stopped. But the world felt colder. The memory stone was silent now. No more pulses, no more light. Just the child, sitting alone beside her mother's body. Eyes open, but not seeing. Ray sat nearby, watching the dark horizon. He had no words to give, no comfort that could reach her. The air smelled like smoke and metal. He checked his weapon, half a clip left. Checked the food, 2 ration bars. Checked the sky, no stars. "I'm sorry," he said. The words felt small, useless. But he said them anyway. The child finally spoke. She knew this would happen. Ray turned to her. "She brought us here on purpose." The child continued. "She wanted us to see the message." Ray looked at the stone. "Then we need to finish what she started." He pulled out a portable scanner and reloaded the memory stone. The last image returned, a tall, ancient satellite tower. Coordinates blinked on the screen. "It's real," Ray muttered. "It's out there." The child stood, wiping her face. "We send the truth," she said quietly. Ray nodded. "And we make sure it's heard." They buried the mother under a broken wing of the ship. No fire, no ceremony, just silence. And a promise. Ray marked the grave with a knife scratch. She remembered. Then they left, moving west through dry ground and shattered roads. It took them 2 days. They avoided drones, hid from patrols, stole water from wrecked vehicles. Ray gave the child most of the food. She didn't complain once. By the third night, they saw it. The tower, rising from the red dust like a dead tree. Old Earth design, tall and rusted, but still standing. The ground around it was cracked. Dead machines scattered like bones. Ray stopped and looked through his scope. There, he said. Still active, but barely. They moved closer. A broken fence, shattered windows. Inside, the air was dry and still. The child found the main console. Ray plugged in the memory stone. Nothing happened. Then, a soft hum. The tower groaned, screens flickered. The system began to wake. But something else woke too. A red warning blinked. Locked. Power low, core unstable. Ray cursed under his breath. We don't have enough energy to send the signal far. The child placed her hand on the stone. It's okay, she said. I can help. Ray turned fast. What do you mean? I'm linked to it, she said. My memories power the message, but it'll take more than that. Ray looked at the screen, 73% charge. Enough for a local transmission. Not enough to reach the outer colonies. Not enough to expose the war, the cages, the experiments. The child looked at him. Eyes steady now. I'll stay, she said. You go. Ray stepped forward. No. You don't understand, she said. This is why they made me, so I could carry the truth and send it. He shook his head. You're a child, not a tool. She smiled sadly. I'm both. A sound echoed through the tower. A roar, mechanical and loud. Ray turned to the window. Incoming patrols, tracked by the signal. They found us, he muttered. The child touched the stone again. It's charging faster, she said. I can guide the energy, just buy me time. Ray took his rifle and moved to the broken door. The enemy was close, engines howling, lights glowing in the dust. He looked back once. Promise me something, he said. If you survive this, you find someone who remembers you, not just what they put inside you. The child nodded. I remember you, she said. That's enough. Ray smiled, then disappeared into the shadows. Outside, he became a ghost. One man, one rifle, holding the line. Inside, the tower lit up, the memory stone glowing bright. The truth began to rise through the signal. Images, data, screams, light, faces. It was all going out, broadcasting to anyone who still had ears, anyone with a conscience, anyone still human. Far across space, on forgotten screens and quiet radios, the truth began to speak. The uprising, far from the dead Earth and its broken towers, across the stars, in orbiting cities and deep space colonies. A signal screamed. At first, people ignored it. Background noise, static from the outer systems. Then the images came. Quick, brutal, real. Cages filled with alien children. Experiments on memory. Soldiers laughing. Scientists recording pain like data. Screens in rich stations turned red. Alarms in newsrooms went off. Reporters stopped mid-sentence. Commanders stared at faces they had buried in reports. They had hidden the truth for years. Now it was too loud to silence. The message ended with one image. A child's face, glowing blue, looking directly at the camera. And a voice, small but clear. We remember everything. Panic began. Then anger. Then fire. Ray crouched behind broken metal, outside the tower. His gun was empty. His leg was bleeding. But he was still alive. Enemy soldiers moved closer, armor shining. They didn't speak, just followed orders. The tower behind him pulsed with light. The signal had gone out. He could feel it, like the ground itself had changed. Then, a new sound came from the horizon. Engines, fast and sharp, but not human. Ray looked up. Ships, alien design, sleek and quiet. Coming in low, coming fast. The enemy turned their guns toward the sky. But it was too late. Blue energy cracked through the air. Explosions lit up the dust. The alien ships dropped silent pods. Warriors stepped out. Not soldiers, protectors, defenders, survivors. One of them helped Ray stand. You're the one who kept the signal alive, she said. Ray nodded, barely able to speak. Where's the child? Inside the tower, the child stood at the console. Her eyes glowed like the memory stone. The system was dying now, but it didn't matter. The truth was already free. She stepped outside and saw the sky, full of movement. Alien ships landing. Human rebel groups arriving too. Those who had believed the rumors, those who had lost their own. A new force was forming, not controlled by any flag. Ray looked around, breathless. We started something, he said. The child nodded. We didn't start it, she said. We just turned the light on. The alien protector raised a small device. You're both wanted now, by the ones who still lie. Ray looked at the child. We're used to that. Hours later, across Earth and beyond, protests began. Soldiers refused orders. Scientists leaked files. Whole colonies turned off their connections to Earth Command. The Memory Stone had done its job. But now came the hard part, changing what people believed. In a dark room, high above Earth, a general smashed his screen. They weren't supposed to survive, he said. They weren't supposed to be human enough to care. Another officer entered. What do we do now? The general's eyes narrowed. We erase them, again. Meanwhile, Ray sat inside a rebel ship, bandaged and quiet. The child sat beside him. Neither spoke. There was nothing left to say. Only one mission left. Not to send a message, but to finish what it started. A promise in the stars. On a quiet planet far from Earth. A group of alien children sat huddled around an old screen. The signal had reached them days ago, but they kept playing it again and again. They watched the cage break. They watched the mother's final gift. They watched the small blue child speak to the stars. We remember everything, the voice said. The children didn't cry, not anymore. They sat still, eyes glowing softly, and one of them whispered, "She lived?" Ray stood on the deck of a rebel ship. His wounds were healing slowly. The world outside the window was still dark, but something inside him had changed. He wasn't a soldier anymore, not in the way Earth had made him. Now he was something else. Witness, protector, and maybe father. The child stood beside him. She wore a simple jacket, her memory stone hidden beneath it. She didn't speak much now, not because she was afraid, but because she didn't have to prove anything anymore. Ray pointed out the window. That one, he said. That's the colony that started the uprising. First human base to break from Earth Command. The child nodded. They believed, she said. They saw the truth. More ships joined them in orbit, some alien, some human. Not armies, not invaders, but volunteers, survivors, voices. A meeting was being planned, one that had never happened before. Human and alien leaders, face to face. Not to talk about war, but about memory, trust, and rebuilding. Ray didn't know if it would work, but for once, trying felt like enough. Inside a dark chamber on Earth, the general who ordered the cages watched silent footage. The child's face was frozen on screen. Not afraid, not angry, just present. A voice crackled over his radio. "Sir, another base just flipped. We're losing the outer ring." He didn't respond. He just stared at the face that had ruined his perfect control. "Shut it all down," he finally said, "before it spreads further." But it was too late. The truth had already become air, and people were breathing it. Later that night, Ray sat on the floor of the ship with the child. They shared dry fruit and old water packs. He handed her a small notebook. "Here," he said. "It's paper. No screens, no code, just you." She opened it, curious. "What do I write?" Ray smiled. "Anything that's yours." She thought for a moment, then wrote one word. "Mother." Then she flipped the page and drew a star. Then a cage, broken. Then a small figure holding light. Ray looked at it. "That's you," he said. The child shook her head. "It's us." The next morning, the ship's alarm chimed. They were approaching the neutral zone, the meeting site. Aliens, humans, outcasts, rebels, all gathering. Not as enemies, but as people who finally saw each other. Ray stood tall, gear ready. The child walked beside him, holding the notebook tight. And as they stepped onto the landing platform, the stars behind them lit up. Not with fire, but with hope. Because someone had remembered. Someone had listened. And someone, a child, had the courage to speak. Not as a soldier, not as a weapon, but as someone who still believed. That truth can still win, even in the dark.